Hello, my name is Juan Fernandez. I am an AEC cinematographer, and I would like to share with you my experiences with the new Duvo lenses from FUJINON. At this moment there is three types of Duvo lenses. There is the 25 to 1000, which is an impressive range, and we have here the 24 to 300 millimeter lens and the 14 to 100 millimeter lens. All the Duvo lenses, because we'll cover the super 35 millimeters, they are designed with the standard PL mount for cinema cameras. Also we'll cover the full frame with the aid of an expander. In Super 35, the extender works as a normal high-quality extender. It also works as an expander to cover full frame format, with some light loss. This mount comes with a E-Link connection. The Cook protocol is an open source that many cameras will include it and will transfer all the metadata from your lenses into your camera. You can use it for post-production, for live production, like if you are working with LED displays, or simply for the post-production to know where the focus was, what focal length you have, etc. It's something very useful that you can have now in your arsenal. Having a design like this is very versatile because you have things normally that you will encounter in a ENG type of lens, a broadcast kind of lenses, which is very useful. Even though you are using it with PL mount cameras, you will have things like the back focus adjustment. Another function that you have in lenses like this, coming from the broadcast idea and now introducing it into the cinema world, is the macro adjustment. This macro adjustment will help you to increase the range of your normal minimum focus distance that you can have in your lens. Another good advantage of having a PL mount design on the lens is that only with things like a mechanical adapter, you can adapt it to different cameras. The flange is about 52 millimeter, so there is range to do many kind of combinations. The servo lens control on this camera, which I love, by the way, the ergonomics, also has the normal function of connection through the Hiroshi cable. If you're going to connect the camera into a traditional camera with a Hiroshi output, you can just go straight to there, and that will power and transfer the metadata from the servo to the camera. Another way to connect this is if you have the connections in the mount. If your camera allows you to have that protocol, will also power and receive all the information on the camera. To do that, you will have to take this cable and connect it here. The feeding of the power will be through the port on the PL mount, if the camera allows it. If you don't have any of these options, no problem. You could have an external power to this servo. You will be using 12-pin connector, the Hiroshi standard, into a D-tap connector, standard in the batteries. Now be careful because some batteries, D-taps, will give all the power of the battery. And the range on this servo is between 10 and 16 volts. So if in your battery the power of the D-tap is higher than 60 volts, you could damage your servo. The amazing range of the FUJINON Duvo 24 to 300 comes with a T-stop of 2.9. when it's open to 24 millimeters, and we'll carry that open to about 200 millimeters. After that, we'll have a slight drop and we'll become almost to a 4.2 T. The FUJINON Duvo 14 to 100 millimeter has a T2.9 all through the range. Traditionally, a lens that is designed for broadcast situation or with the ENG mentality, they have a very big range in the focal length. So that compromises a lot of things. One of the things that you get to compromise is the mechanical functions inside to avoid some of the breathing while you are focusing. Now, FUJINON has come with a very smart idea. They call it breathing compensating technology. How it works is very smart. The on-servo compensates for the breathing while you are focusing. The best for this to work is when it's pretty much in the middle range of the focal length, which actually is when it suffers the most. When you are focusing, you will see that is adapting to those changes of the breathing. In the 24 to 300, because it's so big the range, if you want it to work smoothly, the best recommendation is to kind of do that change in focus or rack focusing a little bit slower. Otherwise, the compensation will catch up to you. In the case of the 14 to 100, I have not seen any delay because the range is not as big like the 24 to 300. I'm very surprised with the new Duvo lenses. The reason is because they have the approach of broadcast zoom lenses, and if you have worked with them before, it will be very easy to use. Meaning you have the normal servo functions, the start and stop, the autofocus or manual if the camera allows it, the control of the zoom function here, which by the way, you don't want to remove this unit from this lens because they are calibrated in factory. The ergonomics of the lens is something I love, especially in this servo, because it sits right on your palm, and when you have your camera on your shoulder, it goes just very naturally into the balance to be able to work the zoom with very smooth functions. That's something I like. I like the versatility of having to work with this in any situation, in any surprise situation. I will definitely take it to any sports, wildlife, documentary, and now cinema storytelling, or when you need the compactness of a lens. Allows me to work in things or tools like the Steadicam, because this barely weighs less than 3 kilos with the servo. The rocker is very nice and smooth, aside of your normal controls of the speed for the servo. In the case of broadcast situation, if you are attached to a CCU or a remote unit, you have the normal functions like the BTR function or the manual or automatic servo control for the iris, the return, and then all the normal versions. Working with a long range like these lenses, for example in this case the 24 to 300, or in the case than the one we're shooting with, which is the 14 to 100, allows you to work in most of any situations you're going to be working. The optical performance of these lenses are so close to the cavity lenses, you could even think with some cameras to be reframing, meaning shooting higher of the resolution than you normally will shoot 4K, 8K, 12K, and still have the resolution in the lens to be able to do things like reframe or even digital zoom-ins. These lenses have many blades in the iris. The more blades, the more symmetrical the circle of the bokeh. And they can work very long distance, wide distance. The focusing or defocusing of the image in the foreground and the background is going to be very round and clean. I have assessed the quality and the resolution they are capable of. I've been working with them in different situations, most of them working at F or T 2.9, meaning all the way open. Normally at those openings is where you will show or you will see the biggest aberration of a lens. In this case, it's not noticeable. I have been testing the bokeh or the autofocus in these lenses in the normal 35 coverage and also with the expander. I have not been able to see reasonable difference in the resolution or the chromatic aberrations, not to be able to have a two lens in one. In this case, from a 24 to 300 to 36 to a 430 if I'm using it in a 35 mode. Working with the Duos is such a nice experience to me because merges the two worlds that I most love. On one side comes the flexibility and the speed of working with a broadcast cinema lens, and with the quality and the aesthetics that gives me a real cinema lens. All this in a good package, small, lightweight, and with amazing resolution